How does the world's favorite spy go from being offered his most well-known gig?
I want to make you a spy.
You what?
I want you to join my training program. Though, I have to warn you, it's unlikely you'll pass the tests.
To proving M wrong time and time again. Today, we're breaking down 007 First Light, IO Interactive's fresh take on the series that follows Bond as a young agent. And you have no idea how excited I am for this. The game starts mid-mission, on a dark and stormy night. Royal Air Force choppers descend someplace in Iceland for a retrieval mission. The team is ambushed by unseen attackers, bringing the whole fleet down into the water below in a flaming mess. One soldier gasps desperately for air and escapes to the surface. This is our boy, James Bond, played by Patrick Gibson. Very young Bond. Forget shaken or stirred martinis, this guy isn't even old enough to drink. Bond finds himself on a beach surrounded by dead allies and enemy soldiers. He sneaks past some baddies and manages to get his communication device back in working order. A female voice announces that MI6 is taking control of the mission. MI6 is a foreign intelligence agency based in Great Britain. In other words, spies. Cool spies. Bond is just an Air Force trainee, but MI6 doesn't have much of a choice but to entrust this mission to him. Welcome to the team, rookie.
What's your name, soldier?
Bond.
Oh, you're not SAS.
Crewman.
The MI6 handler, aka the person who oversees missions and operatives on the field, orders baby Bond to find the enemy camp. It's supposed to be a simple retrieval mission. Who ordered it? Well, that's classified. Why is MI6 involved? Well, that's also classified.
How can I help if I don't know what's going on?
By doing exactly what I tell you.
Cool, good to know. Young Bond sneaks into the camp, which is crawling with bad guys, weird tech, and also explosives. The site was apparently some sort of MI6 research facility. Bond and his team were just supposed to come in, grab the tech, and get out, but clearly somebody beat them to it. Luckily, James Bond is really good at the whole spying thing. He disguises himself like one of the bad guys and blends right in. After some snooping around, Bond's new handler figures out that they're up against a gang of thieves from the Balkans, known as Arrowhead. These guys do not mess around, and they do not leave witnesses. The handler sends Bond to retrieve some kind of tech in a tent at the center of camp. What is it? Well, that's classified. Of course.
Any bombs I should know of?
None you should know of. No.
The machine that he's after is, really weird. It's partially destroyed, but it kind of looks like some alien tech, and it's causing freaky lights and distortions. It also exposes Bond to a deadly poison. Don't worry, there's an antidote nearby, so the game doesn't end within minutes of starting. Once he's cured, Bond is eager to get back to find the asset, but the handler tells him to let it go. MI6 plans to intercept it somewhere safe with agents who aren't random rookies from an unrelated organization. Bro, Arrowhead doesn't leave any witnesses. Well, Bond realizes that some of the MI6 people are still alive, but not for long. The baddies plan to blow up the place once they leave with the loot. The handler tells Bond to get the hell out of there, but Bond has other plans.
Listen carefully. You have less than 1% chance of success. Now stand down.
I'll take those odds.
Bond.
You see, the guy's not the best at following orders, so the badass Bond goes in to save the MI6 agents who are still alive in the camp. Our hero sneaks back into the base, takes down highly trained enemy soldiers left and right, and frees the captured researchers. On his signal, Bond and the rescued hostages make a run for it, and run right into a dead end, on a cliff overlooking the water. Well done, dude. Cornered, Bond pulls an ace out of his sleeve. The bomb they plan to blow up the camp with. Yeah, one of the researchers gave him the detonator.
What is this now? You wanna blow us up?
Yeah, thinking about it.
MI6 would never blow up the camp with their valuable assets still inside. Luckily, Bond is not MI6. With no hesitation, he presses the button and the whole damn place explodes. Okay, cut to a month in the future. A cleaned up, smirking James Bond waltzes into MI6 headquarters like he owns the place. Then he finally delivers his iconic intro line.
The name's Bond.
James Bond. He's with me.
Kinda. Way to steal his thunder, lady. Bond meets the MI6 handler he worked with in Iceland, a young woman with large glasses. Her name is Miss Moneypenny. But James isn't here to see her. Moneypenny takes him upstairs, all the way to the big brass, the head of MI6, a mysterious woman known only as M. M chews out Bond like he's in the principal's office.
Initially willing to assist, but then you hang up on us. Go against direct orders, and ultimately blow up the invaluable asset we were there to retrieve.
His file has him down to a T. Headstrong, kicked out of multiple places, prone to conflict. Of course, Bond is ready with a witty comeback for everything M throws at him.
Issues with authority.
I believe it's more a case of authority having issues with me.
Instead of telling Bond off and jailing him for going against orders, M offers him a job. She'd like him to join His Majesty's Secret Service, better known as MI6.
I want to make you a spy.
You what?
Bond is recruited to run through the agency's training program, if he can survive it. He becomes part of a special program that's led by training instructor John Greenway, a serious man with a no-nonsense attitude.
John Greenway.
Yes.
and you're late.
There are 6 other recruits in the program, and they're all numbered, making Bond the 7th, as in 007. So cool. Bond's first stop is in the MI6 training facility in Malta, a group of islands south of Italy. Greenway isn't Bond's biggest fan, clearly. He reads the kid's file.
To do this, you need skill, discipline, and above all, dedication. Pure dumb luck will only get you so far.
Greenway introduces the new recruit to the other members of the project. 2 of them are tasked with taking the guy through basic training, which took them half a year, in just 2 weeks. If he fails, they lose points. It's a great first impression. Bond, unsurprisingly, passes basic training and wins over the other 6 members of his team with his boyish good looks and effortless charm. Classic Bond. Greenway isn't impressed and recommends that the guy be cut from the program.
You inexplicably fall victim to his charm. Greenway recommends that I cut you from the program.
But Greenway is not in charge. M is, and M likes James Bond. She takes Bond down to a top secret floor in MI6 HQ. Here, she introduces him to the real head of the agency and the one who's pulling the strings, a quantum supercomputer named Thea. Yep, even the spy industry isn't safe from AI. Thea has done an amazing job of keeping Great Britain safe over the past year or so, but M is an old school kind of boss who believes that the art of spying still needs a human touch. Instead of removing Bond from the program, she clears him for advanced training.
You did an impossible thing. I would like you to do it again.
And if I can't?
Well, then I don't have much use for you, do I?
Miss Moneypenny escorts James Bond to Q Lab, where all of MI6's tech and gadgets are developed. It's also where we meet Q, the dapper, white-haired head of the department. He's an odd but incredibly intelligent guy who immediately replaces Bond's useless, completely ordinary watch with one that lets him hack into electronics. That's pretty cool.
Now you get a new one.
With that sorted, Bond prepares to leave for advanced training in London. He's paired with 2 of his fellow 00s, the studious Cressida and hard-headed Lennox Monroe. Over the next few months, Bond, Cressida, and Monroe split their time between Malta and their swanky new safe house in London. After plenty of intense training and some extracurricular activities with an MI6 secretary, Bond is finally ready to leave on his first real big boy field mission. And by that, I mean he goes clubbing in London. Okay, the clubbing isn't just some social outing, it's really a field test for all the recruits. They're given a code phrase and told to find a special contact. The 7 allies work closely together to complete the mission, even if Bond does get into a couple of fistfights along the way.
Lost chance. Walk away now.
Always getting into trouble, this rascal. The mission ends unexpectedly when M suddenly cancels the training. She calls the 7 recruits into her office and delivers the news. Something's come up. The former agent 009, real name Reese Beckett, has suddenly reappeared after a decade. He's been in hiding ever since he was accused of treason against the country. Now he's back and he claims he has evidence of some sort of conspiracy. He's willing to give MI6 this evidence in exchange for a full pardon. The catch, 009 will only talk to Bond's surly trainer, John Greenway. M orders the recruits to watch over the exchange and make sure nothing goes wrong.
Tonight, and he's reluctant to bring you along, just a heads up.
Any advice?
Doing what you're told might be a good start.
Bond heads to Q to suit up, only to discover that Greenway has cast him as the chauffeur. Great. His first real mission, he won't even get to see any action.
Greenway.
Bond overhears Moneypenny and Greenway discussing the upcoming mission, and it's bad news. The supercomputer Thea says there's a 50-50 chance 009 is telling the truth, but Greenway's worried. He and the former agent have some history. They served together as 00s until 2014, when they were tasked with something called Operation Nightfall. I wonder what that was. Moments later, Moneypenny briefs the team about their upcoming mission. Greenway and 009 are scheduled to meet at the Grand Carpathian Hotel in Slovakia, which is currently hosting the World Chess Championship. Security will be tight, so the recruits will have to be at their best. The paranoid former agent 009 is a master of disguise and thinks 5 steps ahead at all times. If he suspects a trap, he's going to go back into hiding. They're only going to get one shot at this.
This is a black tag operation, so discretion, ladies and gentlemen, is critical.
You better make it count. At the hotel in Slovakia, Bond is supposed to stay outside with the car, not make any trouble. But of course, he spends approximately 2 seconds doing as he's told. Then he spots a blonde porter secretly throwing some luggage into a ditch. That's odd. Bond agrees with Cressida, overcomes that he should stay at his post, and then immediately goes back on his word to investigate the suspicious bellhop. Before he can say Bond, James Bond, our boy, is snuck into the high-security, impenetrable hotel. You had one job. Bond blends right in with the rich, well-dressed visitors of the chess championship, as he does what he does best, snooping around. He tracks the weird blonde bellhop to different locations in the hotel. The guy is super suspicious and very slippery, constantly changing disguises. Finally, Bond finds himself next to one of the hotel rooms where a dark dark-haired maid is picking a lock.
That's right, the maid is picking a lock. Now you've seen everything.
Maybe she just forgot her keycard. The maid saves Bond from some security that's finally noticed that they have an intruder, and she slips into the room she just unlocked, taking Bond's heart with her. Wow, our boy is smitten. Next, Bond enlists the help of his buddy Monroe. While Bond makes his way over, Monroe follows the blonde man to the wine cellar. At that moment, two things happen. Above them, 009 walks into the hotel reception hall, and then Bond arrives at the wine cellar to find Monroe stabbed to death.
Monroe.
Bond was too late. Before Bond can alert Cressida, he's attacked by the blonde man, or rather, men. Turns out there are two of them. A brawl breaks out, and Bond is getting pummeled until an alarm makes the two men run off. They leave Bond to deal with his dead friend and, a bomb. Bond manages to disarm the bomb, but an explosion still rocks the hotel, knocking him out. Well, that escalated quickly. Bond wakes up to find the entire hotel engulfed in flames and falling apart. He rescues Cressida from underneath a fallen beam. Greenway emerges from the mess and explains that 009 is the one who destroyed the hotel. Bond leaves Greenway with Cressida and chases after 009. His pursuit takes him out of the hotel, where 009 hops into a car and drives off. Bond enters a nearby Aston Martin and attempts to carjack it. The lockpicking maid from earlier comes in clutch. She helps herself into the car and offers Bond the key.
Hold on.
But this is Bond we're talking about. Of course, he doesn't need any help. He starts up the car without the maid's keys, tells his new companion to hold on tight, and floors it. While they zoom after 009 at way past the speed limit, Bond gets to know his new friend. She introduces herself as Agent Charlotte Roth from the DGSE, which is like the French version of the MI6. Turns out both agencies really want their hands on 009, but first they're going to have to catch him. They find the former agent's escape vehicle, but it has been abandoned. An entire hidden base, complete with an airplane, lurks in the forest below. Roth and Bond team up. He can be bait, and she'll flank. With that, Bond once again dives headfirst into a base, crawling with enemies. Their mission is to prevent the airplane from lifting off and taking 009 with it. This involves an action-packed chase sequence where Bond literally flings himself from a speeding car onto a moving plane. Bond battles bad guys on the wing of this moving aircraft and manages to kick and punch his way into the airplane. The plane lifts off, but Bond is not done yet. Remember that cool watch he got from Q in the beginning? He used the gadget to hack the plane's controls. Oh my god, this thing is going down one way or another. As the plane plummets, it begins to fall apart, flinging Bond out through an open door. On his way out, Bond throws his watch into the plane so that it can be tracked. Our hero falls through the sky, dodging flying debris, including literal cars. He punches the lights out of a bad guy mid-air and deploys the baddie's parachute, bringing him safely down to the ground. Damn. This is only the third chapter, and the action's already cranked up to 11. I'm exhausted. Where do we even go from here? Where am I? The scene then shifts to a funeral. Oop, way to bring down the mood. Bond watches as Monroe and the two other 00 trainees are laid to rest. Cressida is also there, alive, but wheelchair-bound. The explosion left her paralyzed. Looks like she's out of the program too. One other team member is in a coma after complications from the explosion. The final member of the team, Robert Nash, was never found. Let me spare you the wondering, no, this isn't some setup for a big reveal later in the game. This is the first and last time you'll ever hear this name. Maybe it's setting up something for the next game though? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I just didn't want you wasting time and energy thinking that he was going to be the big bad or something. Anyway, when the service ends, Bond is approached by a man named Sir Nicholas Webb. He's the creator of the supercomputer Thea. He asks Bond why he risked his life in Iceland, knowing he had a very low chance of survival. Bond's answer reveals what drives the young man forward.
Yes, I know the feeling. People really are capable of the most extraordinary things.
Anyway, no rest for the wicked Lee Handsome. Before he can even process the death of his companions and friends, M summons Bond and Greenway back to MI6 headquarters. M briefs the two on the situation. The incident in Slovakia has caused a diplomatic crisis. 009 is going up against the MI6 on some personal vendetta for revenge or something. It's confidential. It's not all bad news though. They has figured out where they can find the ex-agent. Greenway was hurt in the explosion, so his job in this mission will be to direct Bond. All Bond has to do is listen to Greenway's orders.
Am I being clear?
Perfectly, Mom.
I'm sure there's no way this could possibly go wrong. Bond stops by Q Lab to grab some new gadgets from Q, then heads off to Moneypenny for his mission brief. Moneypenny then drops a bombshell. The woman Bond teamed up with in the chase wasn't Agent Roth from France after all. So who is she? Moneypenny has no idea, but she does know the identity of the two blonde men who fought with Bond back in the hotel wine cellar. They are Nico and Tero Murto, twin assassins from Finland. But he can worry about all that later. What matters now is finding 009. Thea traced the traitorous agent to Mauritania in northwestern Africa. Here, he's thought to be hanging out with the ruthless pirate king Bavma. Bavma and his sister were kidnapped by a militant group when they were 10 and separated. He trained as a soldier for 2 years, then killed 5 of his captors and escaped. Since then, he's grown a pirate empire based in a ship graveyard in Mauritania called Aleph. Basically, this is one really terrifying dude. If the hotel was full of posh princes and rich snobs, Aleph is the exact opposite. It's a major black market hub. It's absolutely crawling with smugglers, killers, and criminals. Greenway and Bond are sent into the heart of the shipyard to find 009, who MI6 believes to be one of Bavma's closest allies.
Rise and shine. We're almost there.
I said, wake me when we get to Aleph.
Should be fun. Bond and Greenway drive through a sandy landscape to the grungy outpost of Aleph, and then they just walk right in. That's the easy part over. Now for the real challenge, finding Bavma and convincing him to take them to 009. Aleph is a seedy marketplace with plenty of illicit and underground goods for sale. It's like an anime convention, but the merch is illegal weapons instead of body pillows. Bond and Greenway get to see what kind of person they're up against when Bavma comes out to publicly punish a guy caught stealing on his turf. The thief pleads with the impeccably dressed pirate king. He says he was stealing to support a little girl. Bavma isn't heartless. He informs the cheering crowd that from this moment on, the little girl will be taken care of by the community. Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's not so bad, right? Bavma then slices the thief's head off. Okay, never mind. To get closer to Bavma, Bond and Greenway approach Bavma's right-hand man, Barkhad Ali. They boldly proclaim that they'll bring the whole place down if Ali doesn't take them to the ex-MI6 operative they're hiding. Once the agency takes care of the current pirate king for harboring their traitor, they can continue to turn a blind eye on what goes on in the black market. The thing is, Ali doesn't want to be Bavma's pawn forever. Bond and Greenway convince the guy that if he plays this right, he can take over as king once Bavma is taken down. That's all it takes. Instead of destroying them, Ali calmly points the two to their target. 009 is living in a cozy cabin on top of a houseboat. Bond and Greenway barge in to find that they're already too late. 009 is dead. He was killed slowly and painfully.
Diamonds.
Fakes.
Wow, so much for that. Now what? Bond finds a full-on crazy guy wall of post-its, photos, and maps with intel on MI6, and the center of the wall is a picture of Greenway with murderer scribbled above it in angry capital letters.
Should we be worried about this?
Maybe.
What is this guy's deal with Greenway? It seems 009 knew his days were numbered, so he left behind a bunch of clues. Bond and a reluctant Greenway follow these to another ship. Before they can board their new destination, some thugs show up and capture our two heroes. Remember how Bond and Greenway wanted to meet up with Bavma? Well, good news. When Bond wakes up, he and Greenway get to meet the Pirate King. They also get to meet a crowd of Bavma's followers, as well as his pets. Half a dozen hungry crocodiles. Bond and Greenway are tied up and hanging upside down over the crocs. There's only one way out of this. Wait, that's the wrong Bond. Actually, our Bond hasn't yet developed his croc walking skills, so, he's stuck. Bavma starts feeding his former right-hand man, Barkhad Ali, to his pets.
The girls. Of course.
Oh good, maybe they'll be too full to chomp on Bond and his companion. But Ali was just the appetizer. Bond and Greenway are the main course. While Ali was sent to his death with a swift kick, Bond and Greenway are slowly lowered into the pit. They're done for. Until Greenway halts the descent with one word. Harmony is the name of Bavma's sister, who he lost when he was 10, and she's actually still alive. Greenway claims that MI6 knows where she is. Sorry, Crocs, you're going hungry again. Harmony's location is the key to finding Bond and Greenway's freedom. Bavma orders the two to be released in exchange for Harmony's location. He lets them leave Aleph without a scratch on their body. Ooh, now they can board the ship that 009's clues pointed to. On the way there, Greenway shares a bit of his history with 009. It all went down in Operation Nightfall, the first mission after Thea was put into use at MI6. The computer found a ring of 3 moles in the intelligence agency, and one of them was 009. Wait, so you're telling me that 009 was branded as a traitor by AI? Greenway's mission was to track them down and, neutralize them. Before this, Greenway and 009 were friends who went through the program together.
So you two were friends? Before Operation Nightfall? before all of this. That's what it looked like in the picture of the two of you.
We went through the program together.
Operation Nightfall was ultimately a failure. The other two moles were terminated, but 009 got away. The 00's division got shut down, and the whole thing was buried, until M resurrected the division and placed Greenway at its head. Damn, no wonder Greenway hates the friendly, charming Bond. He must remind Greenway of everything he lost. Bond and Greenway board the massive ship, which is wrecked and abandoned. It's also full of clues left behind by 009. The man clearly died protecting something, and he wanted Greenway to see it. Finally, Bond and Greenway find out what it is. A suitcase full of evidence. They realize the hotel explosion wasn't caused by 009. The explosion was meant to kill 009.
What was that?
It's the other shoe. We were followed.
No time to think about this. The two were followed, and now there's a welcoming committee coming to say hello. With their guns and their fists. Bond and Greenway lose the evidence and are cornered by enemy soldiers.
No.
Nothing. Not even a good job, Bond. You would have made a great 00.
Nothing springs to mind.
At the last moment, a sniper picks off the approaching bad guys. The two are saved in the nick of time by MI6 backup. Back at MI6 headquarters, the whole thing is swept under the rug. The official story is that 009 was behind the hotel explosion in Slovakia, and his own thugs killed him. Bond wants to keep investigating, but Greenway immediately gives up. Orders are orders, and I guess that's the end of that. Bond heads home to his abandoned safe house that he once shared with Monroe and Cressida. Here he finds a note claiming guilt and responsibility for the deaths of the recruits. It's signed James Bond. Wait a second. He's James Bond, and he sure as hell didn't write that note. At this moment, an intruder attacks Bond. Bond makes quick work of the bad guy and grabs his phone.
You brought a friend.
But his attacker wasn't working alone. After another attacker fails to stop Bond, a sniper opens fire on the guy. Bond runs out of the apartment building, walks across a miles-high construction crane, and manages to sneak up on his own sniper. That's pretty sick. Bond chases the sniper across rooftops, but his last jump just falls short, hanging off the side of the building. Bond looks up into the unfriendly face of one of the blonde twin assassins. Blondie knocks James off the building, but our boy has got some plot armor, so he survives the fall. Next, he calls Moneypenny for help. She's on a date, but this is kind of more important. She traces the origin of a text about Bond sent to the bad guy's phone. This leads Bond to an impressive, massive building that houses the Works and Arts Museum. What a coincidence, the museum is currently celebrating the 125-year anniversary of Webb Industries, the company that made Thea. Moneypenny wants to issue an alert, but Bond convinces her to hold off so he doesn't lose his assassin's trail. As always, Bond rushes right into the fire, and this time, he's going in without MI6 backup.
Room full of half-drunk balls. This reveal better be worth the
Rather a
trouble.
lot of security for an office party, isn't there?
Well, sir.
The gala in the museum is invitation only, but that does not stop Bond. He gets in and tries to find the guy who ordered the attack on him. Moneypenny tracks the guy to the basement archives of the museum, where he's either laying low or preparing for an ambush. Either way, this is Bond's next stop. Bond finds his old friend, one of the blonde twin assassins, waiting to ambush him in the basement. So ambush it was then. The twins get the upper hand. He points his gun at a kneeling Bond and shoots, only for the unthinkable to happen. He's out of bullets. What? Bad guys in games never run out of bullets. Bond seizes the chance. And the gun. The two struggle until finally Bond pushes the blonde assassin toward a random trident-wielding statue that they toppled in their earlier fight. The push impales the guy right through the trident.
Awaiting authorization from Webb. Understood. He's just an old geezer. Are you sure we brought enough men?
One Murto down, one more to go. With the assassin off his back, Bond catches a transmission from the guy's earpiece. Sounds like Sir Nicholas Webb, the creator of Thea, is the one giving the orders. There's no time to wonder why, though, because Bond finds out the bad guy's next target, Greenway. Bond tells Moneypenny when he's found out, but still refuses to call in backup. Greenway's life is on the line, and the old guy has gone off the grid. Bond's only chance now is to find Webb and get him to call off the attack.
It does look like it's transmitting a geolocation signal to a device inside the building.
It has to be Webb.
Bond rushes back out to the main museum area where the gala is in full swing. There he spots a familiar face, the woman who joined him from the car chase in Slovakia. She's out of her maid disguise and all dolled up in a stunning red outfit.
Damien!
I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
You're not. Damien, meet Mr. Beach, was it?
Bond. James Bond.
Bond is, understandably, annoyed at her for lying about her identity, but they don't get a chance to kiss and make up. Because at that moment, a third person approaches. The long-haired, well-dressed man named Damien Webb. That's right. that Webb, as in the son of the incredibly important and possibly dangerous Sir Nicholas Webb. The woman, who apparently works for Webb Industries now, introduces the two men. The three share a drink, and the woman makes an excuse to bounce. Just like that, she's gone again. But Bond has more important things to do. Moneypenny tells him that she can hack his communication device and call off the attack on Greenway. All Bond has to do is get within 3 feet of Webb. At that moment, Nicholas Webb comes to the museum stage to give his keynote speech. He's joined by an entourage of dancing humanoid robots. Clearly, he's prepared to take his company from the golden age of AI into the age of, whatever the hell that was.
No.
Bond moves toward the stage, but suddenly he begins to pass out. Instead of helping Bond out safely, security manhandles the barely conscious Bond into a separate room. Webb and his son Damien are there to greet him when he wakes up, along with the equally bound and still unconscious woman in red. Oh, look at that, a quick reunion. Turns out that the drink they shared with Damien earlier was drugged. Father and son aren't exactly a dream team. They argue about Bond being there since Nicholas Webb is the one who handles MI6, whatever that means, but Damien isn't intimidated by his dad.
Careful. You know how I get, Father.
Okay. Damien is giving off some weird vibes. Anyway, it's not like they can back down now. Damien announces he is a strike team ready to take down Greenway. His father tells him to clean up the mess, meaning Bond and the woman. Before he leaves, he apologizes to Bond.
It needn't have come to this. And I'm truly sorry.
Oh, well, at least he said he's sorry, that's nice. With his dad gone, Damien goes full villain mode. Monologues at Bond, punching the defenseless agent in the face a couple of times while he's at it, just for fun, you know? Because when he's had enough, Damien thanks Bond for a good time, and he leaves.
That was invigorating. Thank you.
Before he goes, he tells his men to make Bond and the woman disappear. What a charming man. When the guards enter the room, the woman in red reveals that she's been faking being knocked out. She cuts herself loose, springs up, and quickly slices the throats of the attackers. Okay, seriously, who is this lady? Bond helps the woman escape from their locked room through a window. Instead of helping him in return, she leaves the guy behind. Kinda rude.
All hands on deck. An all-out data wipe. Because of one guy.
Bond calls on Moneypenny, who finds him way out of the museum and tracks down the coordinates of Damien's kill team. The museum becomes a battleground as an armed troop of Webb Industry guards arrives to take out one guy. Meanwhile, the rest of Webb's goons are called back to their lair for a code wipe, to assist with a full data wipe of their system. Clearly, the two shady Webbs are trying to hide something huge. Bond manages to make it out of the museum, where he's greeted by gunfire. He hijacks a garbage truck and races off to rescue his mentor and trainer.
Oh, I told you to go home. I needed some fresh air.
Greenway doesn't seem too surprised to hear that Webb is the one trying to kill them. Instead, he announces that to get to Webb, they'll need to make the first move. Hell yeah, the old straight-laced agent still has some fire left in him. With some help from Moneypenny, James Bond and John Greenway waltz right into the huge, futuristic building that serves as Webb Industries HQ. Their destination is the Perch, written P33RCH, of course. This is a tech company after all. The Perch is a structure on top of the building where the company stores all of its data. At least Moneypenny thinks that it is. She can't actually find any information about the place.
Shut up, Moneypenny. We're not leaving without answers. Play it cool, always.
The structure is, of course, full of human and digital security that's impossible to bypass. On top of all of this, Bond, Greenway, and Moneypenny are working on their own, with no MI6 backup. Sounds easy enough, they got it. Bond and Greenway aren't just working to save their own asses here. The entire future of the 00 branch at MI6 is in danger. Nicholas Webb is clearly cleaning up after whatever his son Damien messed up. While Damien likes to get hands-on, his father prefers to pull strings behind the scenes. He's called in a favor with Foreign Secretary Stephen Bright, who's been after the MI6 program since day one. He's even more reason-added now that his own daughter, Cressida Bright, has become wheelchair-bound due to the mess in Slovakia. All Bright has to do is threaten to withdraw MI6 funding, and then we'll have no choice but to cut the program.
Greenway, I found the corporate ladder. Here, give me a boost.
Greenway suspected them all and had no idea who to trust. Now, Bond and Greenway make a surprisingly good team. Bond is a cheeky rookie, but he's damn good at what he does. And Greenway might have started out hating the guy, but he's clearly grown on him. The two even exchange silly banter as they search for a way up into the Perch.
My age group shouldn't break into a high-security building in the middle of the night. Can't argue with that.
Aw, they like each other. As they get closer to the Perch, Bond finds evidence that they're not the only ones sneaking around up here. Doesn't take long to find her. The fake maid, also known as the woman in red, also known as Isola Vale. That probably isn't her real name either, but it's good enough.
Give me one reason why we shouldn't feed you to security.
First, there's only 2 of you, and second, I can get you into the Perch.
Isola reveals that 009 was trying to deliver some sort of file to MI6 that had Nicholas and Damien spooked. The Webbs blew up the hotel to stop the transfer from happening. Then Damien's thugs got to 009. Bond and Greenway aren't sure what her game is, but she's got something they don't: a way into the perch. The three work as a team to get to Nicholas Webb's office. This means getting a spiral staircase to dramatically rise out of a huge room full of water cascading over the sides into a central pool. Very excessive and very cool. Just like that, Bond enters the absurdly large office, which feels more like a dark and dramatic cave. Between swanky artworks, Bond uncovers documents and records that give him a glimpse into Damien's mind. What he finds is not pretty. This guy has got some trauma. From finding his mother's lifeless body after she offed herself when he was 8, the kid's been causing trouble and committing war crimes ever since. And yes, I do mean literally war crimes. Bond then figures out the passcode to open the path to the perch. After a close call with Nicholas and Damon,
Just need something from my desk. Webb and Damien just walked in.
Careful, James. Damien will kill you as soon as look at you. Stay hidden and don't try anything.
Bond rushes to the perch. Of course, he shows up to the perch bridge just as it's starting to close. Instead of just walking down the path, Bond ziplines across the other side in the most dramatic way possible. He barely makes it, grabbing onto the ledge of the rising bridge as his companions just stand there and don't offer any help. Nah, it's fine, he's got this. He's James mother effing Bond. Then the three walk into the perch. At this point, Bond loses contact with Moneypenny thanks to the perch's security measures. It's up to the three of them to figure out what's so damning that Nicholas is scrambling to delete the evidence ASAP.
We should do this again sometime.
Sorry, it's up to the two of them, because as soon as they're through into the perch, Isola pieces out and leaves Bond and Greenway on their own. The two put on stolen lab coats and blend in with the other employees, gathered by Nicholas's all-hands-on-deck call. Instead of working to get the servers offline and wiped clean, Bond brings them back online. Greenway searches for anything related to MI6 or the mess that they're in. Sure enough, they get ahead. Mission reports of undercover MI6 operations completed based on Thea data, but there's one problem. Every one of these operations is based on faulty data.
Thea makes mistakes.
Thea makes mistakes.
In other words, who would have guessed that the supercomputer isn't perfect? Thea has actually been wrong a lot, actually. But every time the computer makes a mistake, Webb covers it up and sends Damien to clean things up. Damien plants evidence, changes crime scenes, and gets rid of witnesses, all to make Thea look like it's this perfect crime detection supercomputer. And the very first thing the computer got wrong was all the way back in 2014 during Operation Nightfall. That's the one where Greenway was told to kill his own friend 009 for allegedly being a traitor. The entire operation was about taking out a mole ring in MI6. Well, guess what?
It was a lie right from the start. There was no mole ring.
To cover up Thea's huge mistake, 3 innocent agents were framed to look like they were mole. Greenway killed 2 innocent men and hunted down his friend because of a lie. So much for blindly following orders. Bond and a stunned Greenway are interrupted by the arrival of Nicholas and his armed entourage.
I know what you did. You lied about everything. You're not seeing the big picture.
Nicholas believes that a few innocent lives lost to cover up Thea's mishaps is a small price to pay for the greater good.
I'm only paving the way for a brighter future.
He fully trusts in his supercomputer creation, calling it the smartest mind on the planet. Just needs to learn more from hands-on experience, and then it will be perfect. Once it reaches perfection, Nicholas believes that the lies he buried won't matter anymore. Yep, that's a true supervillain. And in true supervillain fashion, Nicholas puts on a gas mask, gives a signal, and leaves. Moments later, the room fills with poison gas. Why don't supervillains ever just shoot their enemies? Of course, Bond and Greenway escape pretty easily. Bond crawls out via the vent, while Greenway just uses a Q gadget and walks out through the front door. Luckily, this office building is equipped with everything they need to make a dramatic escape. Greenway secures a helicopter for them, and Bond opens the rooftop helipad. In true Bond fashion, they make it to the chopper seconds before it lifts off. Once they get to safety, Greenway loses his cool. The reality of what he did, what he was made to do, catches up with him. He was told that 009 was a traitor, and he just accepted it without question.
You're giving up. We can't let him win.
There is no we.
Greenway is done playing games. He tells Bond the trainee is on his own and walks away. Bond returns to MI6 headquarters alone, where Moneypenny is waiting for him. Sir Nicholas Webb is a very powerful man, and you don't just go up against a powerful man without consequences. Instead of leading Bond to M's office, Moneypenny takes him to a secret section of the HQ building called the Null Space. Officially, this place does not exist, which means that anything that happens in the space never officially happened. M is waiting in one of the rooms, and she's pissed. She's received video footage from Webb showing Bond and Greenway lurking around in the building. The two have been branded as terrorists, and the entire entire nation and organization are out for their necks. Don't worry though, Em isn't mad because Bond and Greenway went rogue. She's mad that they went rogue and didn't bring back any proof. As long as it's their word against Webb's, they don't stand a chance, which is why, instead of turning Bond into the authorities, she's sending him out on another mission. And this time, they better come back with the proof they need to take down the Webb family.
I told you I'd get it straight.
Moneypenny briefs him on his mission. Bond will head to a luxury resort in Vietnam called the Pearl. That's where Bond will find Damian Webb cleaning up Thea's latest mistake. The computer blamed the suspicious deaths of 2 green energy scientists to a terrorist. The terrorist believes that mankind is a plague to Earth and should be purged.
And according to forensics, he's been dead for months.
He's also very much dead. Looks like Thea messed up again. According to the brief, Damian is out in Vietnam to stage a copycat killing, make it look like the terrorist is still alive. Bond's mission is to figure out who Damian is planning to take out and stop him. Bond arrives in the gorgeous resort in Vietnam undercover as a smarmy rich dude.
That's St. John Smythe, my dear.
Of course. The staff and I are very pleased to have you with us. This way, sir.
He's a natural. At reception, Bond gets a little distracted by a beautiful woman. She's just gotten upgraded to the Emperor Villa, which sounds expensive as all heck. She's a geneticist named Teresa Lorca, and one of Damian's 3 potential targets staying at the Pearl. Of course, I need to tell you that she's the one the young Webb is after. Bond gets the other 2 potential targets to swallow a tracker, but with Lorca, Bond manages to get close to her and apply a tracker to her skin. As in, he shakes her hand. Get your minds out of the gutter, come on.
I'll hold you to it.
I should hope so. See you around, John.
Only moments later, Lorca's tracker goes haywire. Her blood oxygen falls and her heart rate decreases. Bond rushes to her rescue to find that she's completely fine. She was just free diving, basically scuba diving, but without the gear. Well, since he's already here, Bond decides to give the woman a proper heart-spiking cardio workout.
Audio. James. Still on. Tea time.
Okay, now you can get your mind into the gutter. That evening, Bond puts on a white suit and heads out to wait for Damian. He doesn't make it far before Moneypenny alerts him that Lorca might be in danger. Her heart rate is spiking. This time it's not a false alarm. Moneypenny realizes her info about Damian is wrong. He's already there. Bond races to the Emperor Villa and watches from the building roof as Damian holds Lorca hostage. His men also find one of the other scientists lurking around. Damian orders his men to make the scientists disappear and to bring Lorca to the site to set things in motion. Bond gets it all on video, securing the evidence that they need. Now it's up to Bond to save them both, which Moneypenny points out might not be possible. He might be James Bond, but even he can't be in 2 places at the same time.
What's your step, Bond? It's a full house down there.
Good. I like those odds.
So first, Bond saves the other scientist from the clutches of Damian's men.
Put the bottle down, I just saved your life.
What the hell have you done with Teresa?
Then he goes after Teresa Lorca. Bond ziplines down and kicks open a door to his storage building. He finds Lorca lying unconscious in the corner and his old friend, the remaining blonde Murto assassin, preparing to torch the place. Do you think he's forgiven Bond for killing his twin brother? Nope, I guess not. As the first flames start up, Bond and the blonde assassin fight. Bond puts an end to the second twin pretty quickly, kicking him into the fire. He wakes Lorca up, and the two make their way out through the spreading flames. Bond helps Lorca escape through the window. Then, he learns why you should always double tap your enemies. Murdo rises from the dead, engulfed in flames. I thought that seemed too easy. Bond beats the assassin up and kicks him into the fire again, finishes the fight just in time to escape through the window as an explosion destroys the building behind him. Bond must have left his plot armor at home though, because instead of walking away from the explosion like a badass, Bond is knocked out by it. When he wakes up, he finds himself strapped down to a huge stone slab in a nearby quarry. Damian arrives to finally finish the guy off himself in a simple and straightforward way. Just kidding. He sets up an elaborate and unnecessary mechanism to cut our hero in half. Yeah, that's more like it. A huge saw blade spins just inches from Bond's face, but then the device suddenly stops. A sniper expertly takes out all of Damian's guards one by one. When he sees his men dropping like flies, Damian cuts his losses and runs away. So who comes to Bond's rescue?
We're lying down on the job again, are we, Bond?
It's Greenway. He didn't give up after all. Bond reunites with Greenway, and the two push on to find Damian back together as a team.
What on earth are you two talking about?
Well, we're bonding. I'm in a bit of a bind here.
With Moneypenny's help over comms, Bond and Greenway make their way through the quarry. Damian apparently brought a whole army to take out a single scientist. The whole place is a battlefield with both men taking constant fire, but a couple dozen armed, well-trained soldiers are just no match for James Bond and his mentor. They make it inside the quarry proper, where Greenway takes a bullet for Bond. Don't worry, he says he's fine, it's just a nick. Greenway stays at the top to fend off more of Damian's men, while Bond descends into a dark quarry in pursuit of Damian. He could leave, they have all the evidence they need, but Bond is a personal axe to grind grind with Webb Jr. Damien manages to get the jump on Bond while wearing a creepy golden mask. Then, to solidify his status as an insane supervillain, Damien injects himself with a synthetic drug that jacks up his stats.
Makes you faster, better, stronger.
Show me.
Bond's not intimidated, but a few punches later realizes he probably should be. Instead of going at Damien at close range, Bond uses the glaring quarry lights to blind Damien long enough to get a couple of punches in. When he's about to be defeated, Damien takes out another syringe. Bond grabs Damien's hand and forces him to stab the syringe into Damien's eye. That's what he wanted, right?
It's been fun, but I'm gonna have to break this off.
Damien staggers backward and falls off the edge of the quarry wall. Damien is still alive though, because of course he is, lying on a wooden platform far beneath Bond. Damien starts to laugh maniacally. He praises Bond's wit, saying the man is away with words. In response, Bond coolly delivers this line.
You haven't heard the punchline yet.
Then he opens a crate above Damien and sends heavy metal pipes falling toward him. That is the end of Damien Webb, probably. With the pesky bug finally squashed, Bond rushes back to rejoin Greenway. The man is doubled over and barely conscious. That gunshot earlier did more than just nick him.
Oh, I thought you said it was just a scratch.
Oh, the wonders of adrenaline.
Bond tries to help Greenway up, but it's no use. It's too late. For the first time, Bond sounds lost. He desperately asks Greenway for orders, but all he can do now is just sit with the older man.
Sit and enjoy the view.
Greenway tells Bond that he's got heart. He's exactly what the world needs right now. He tells Bond not to let the world and the program change him. He's come a long way from hating the kid when he first joined the training program.
Because you're a miserable old bastard.
Then, John Greenway quietly passes away. Despite Bond's best efforts, sometimes you just can't save everyone. After Greenway's death, life goes on. At MI6 headquarters, Nicholas Webb makes his next move. Bond may have gotten evidence against his son, but he still has the agency wrapped around his little finger. He leaks some top-secret intelligence to the media and promises that just a taste of more to come if MI6 doesn't grant him immunity. To protect the agency, the government, and Great Britain standing in the world, M has no choice but to accept Webb's demands.
It is time to stand down. Thank you.
So that's it. They lost anyway. Bond rants to Moneypenny about how unfair the whole thing is. Not only does Webb get to go completely free, but they can't even prove Webb has access to Thea's information at all. Obviously, Webb was getting his information about the mistakes somewhere, but apparently it wasn't from Thea. The only way this could be true is if Webb has a second supercomputer hidden somewhere in a hidden layer in the middle of nowhere, and that's just not possible. Or is it?
Hang on. Hyperion. That's gotta be it.
What?
Bond remembers that Damien mentioned something called Hyperion. In Greek mythology, Thea and Hyperion were brother and sister. Moneypenny doesn't think much of Bond's idea, but if there really were another supercomputer out there, all Bond would have to do is disable it to find and destroy its core. Finding and disabling Hyperion, if it even exists, would prove Webb was guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt and would bring Thea down with it. It would also, as Moneypenny points out, be high treason. She makes Bond promise not to do anything reckless or stupid, but, he's Bond. Reckless is practically his middle name.
Sorry, Moneypenny. This idiot's about to rob Q-Lab.
Bond heads to Q-Lab to steal some nifty tech, but Q's waiting for him. He tells Bond not to blame himself for Greenway's death. Operation Nightfall destroyed Greenway, but Q says Bond brought a little of the old man back.
And thanks to you, he went out with a bang and not with a whimper.
They share a drink in the deceased man's honor. Then Q leaves and Bond repays his kindness by raiding the man's tech. As Bond prepares to head out on a solo expedition, he gets a call from the elusive Isola. She suggests that they work together, since Bond is about to become a person of interest at MI6. Isola knows that Webb is holed up somewhere in Antarctica. Better yet, she can get them there. Bond doesn't trust Isola as far as he can throw her, but he has no choice. 24 hours later, Bond and Isola are aboard a yacht bound for Antarctica. Throughout the entire game, Bond has tried out tons of different drinks, but now finally, Isola delivers the iconic cocktail that becomes his trademark.
What's this?
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
What's the difference?
I want what I want, James.
They've got a long ride ahead of them, so Bond tries to get to know Isola a little better. She tries to play herself off as just a thief on a job for a secret organization, but after a little digging, she reveals that her parents worked on Thea. They realize the computer's faults and try to escape to America with the information, but their plane never made it to its destination. They died in search of truth, and Isola is prepared to finish what they started at any cost.
What? You're going to kill him.
But first, Bond and Isola do what everyone's expected them to do since she first appeared in his life. They almost kiss. Because at that moment, a Japanese submarine rises out of the water. That's their real ride. Neat. Isola asks them to hold on for 20 minutes. Ah, what the hell, make it an hour. You'll have to use your imagination to figure out what for. A while later, Bond and Isola arrive at their destination, Webb Industries' research and development facility in Antarctica. The place is shaped like an inverted dome and heavily guarded, which makes breaking in a challenge even for a spy and thief combo. Isola lays low, while Bond makes his way into the R&D building and mingles with the locals. He nicks some IDs for both him and Isola, and they take a fancy cable car up to another part of Webb's lair. On the way up, Bond makes Isola promise she won't take a shot at Webb until Bond gets the evidence that he needs.
No games, Isola. Do we have a deal?
As soon as they get to their stop, they split up. Bond heads into the robotics department to locate the command center. He hopes to find Hyperion, Webb, or with any luck, both. Bond's path involves pretending to be a new employee, playing with robots, getting clearance to enter the command center, and dangling dangerously hundreds of feet in the air above a sheer drop.
Gotta be another way back in.
You know, it's a typical day at the office. Surprisingly, Isola doesn't just disappear. She helps Bond out over comms the whole way while she does her own snooping. They reunite a while later and head into the command center together. The place is empty, with one single chair and cat statue on a big rock in the middle of the room. I love what you've done with the place. Bond rotates the statue, which extends some stairs to an entire floor of computer terminals. All he has to do now is find the location of the specific computer that he's looking for, which he does immediately. Isola finds something interesting too.
Predictive analytics. That's a neural network tree. Watch.
Webb has designed a roadmap to overthrow the British government and elect Stephen Bright as Prime Minister, the same Bright who wants to shut down the 00 program. He hasn't just been doing favors for Webb, the two have been working together this whole time. Just then, a security chief finds them snooping around. He sounds the alarm and starts the lockdown procedure. Isola runs off to do her own thing as always, leaving Bond to fend off Webb's army of security officers and robots. While Isola searches for Webb, Bond heads down to locate Hyperion in the depths of the facility. He makes it into a separate section of the facility where he spots Nicholas Webb, but Isola is nowhere to be found and she's gone quiet on comms. Of course. Bond continues to head down until he finally finds it, the massive supercomputer brother of Thea, Hyperion.
Hello, gorgeous.
Bond also finds Sir Nicholas Webb waiting for him, gun in hand.
Have you come for my other son?
Maybe this one you'll actually care about.
Bond draws his own weapon and prepares to shoot the guy, but Webb is thinking 3 steps ahead. He's rigged his smartwatch to leak all MI6 information to the media the moment his heart stops beating. Bond has no choice. He drops his gun and kicks it away. Webb tells Bond the future will be grateful for his work, but before he can shoot Bond, a different gun goes off. It's Isola, and she shot Webb. The man falls to the ground as Bond scrambles to keep Webb alive. Bond's furious with Isola for breaking her word, but she says he should know by now not to trust her. Okay, touche. Isola calmly walks right past Bond and pulls out Hyperion's core. Webb begs Bond to stop her and not to let them have Hyperion. Who's them? We never did find out who Isola really works for. Oh yeah, and that whole thing with Isola's parents, that was all a lie.
The only reason I let you get this far is because you make for such wonderful distractions.
As soon as Isola takes the core out of Hyperion, the entire building goes on lockdown. Nothing goes in or out, including Webb's leak. Bond stops trying to keep the old man's heart pumping, and the elder Webb dies. As the facility starts to shut down, Bond desperately runs after Isola. As he does, Moneypenny's voice reaches him. He gives the rundown of the situation and requests backup. Of course, a regular shutdown for this place wouldn't be dramatic enough. Bond rushes through the facility, which starts to literally fall apart and catch on fire around him. Bond reaches the docks, where he politely bars a boat by punching a guard and throwing him overboard. Isola's already out in the water, and a thrilling boat chase sequence plays out through the icy Antarctic waters. Bond catches up to Isola on top of an ice sheet as she's about to board her getaway submarine.
Don't make me.
You won't. Let it go, James.
He shoots the core out of her hand, and at that moment, the cavalry arrives. MI6 planes fly overhead, and the submarine cuts its losses and sinks into the dark waters below, leaving Isola behind. Bond is not exactly welcomed back into MI6 with open arms. He and Isola are both thrown into prison cells in the null space. Bond insists that he was working alone with no assistance from anyone in MI6, and Isola, well, she's a mystery. She's got no background at all, and she manipulates every test that she's given. The agency has no idea who she's working for.
Can't help but wish it was us.
Well, it's not. That is the one thing we know about her.
Then the prison alarms start to blare. Bond and Isola's cell doors unlock and slide open. Isola takes the chance to run away. Before she goes, she asks Bond to come with her, but our boy Bond stays behind to face whatever caused the alarms. My man. A bunch of hostiles enter the prison armed and looking for a fight. Bond gives it to them and then some. Next, Bond gets in touch with them, who gets him access to an earpiece. Looks like he's back on the team, at least for now. The enemies may have opened the cell doors, but they've also triggered a site-wide lockdown. M tells Bond to find Moneypenny, who will be able to lift it.
She's not your friend, Bond. She's an asset. Stay focused.
With respect, Mom. To hell with that.
Duly noted.
Bond works his way through the building, where his friends and coworkers are being killed left and right. Oh my god, that escalated quickly. He gets to Moneypenny's office, but she's nowhere to be found. She has security footage pulled up, which shows that the enemies are heading down toward Thea. Moneypenny must have come to the same conclusion and gone down to protect the computer's core. Bond ducks into the building's ventilation system and makes his way down to the computer. M warns him that because of the security systems in place, he'll have to enter the computer room unarmed and without comms.
I don't want you to be careful. I want you to be you.
Yes, Mom.
Bond finally reaches Thea's room. There he finds Moneypenny and an old golden-masked friend, Damian Webb. I told you Bond needs to learn to double-tap his enemies.
Oh, James, I was hoping that you'd try and save the day.
Damian is upgraded to a machine-assisted exosuit. He's pissed about his father's death, but even more pissed about the fact that he gets nothing from it. So he decided to come claim Thea as his inheritance and sell it to the highest bidder. Damian holds Moneypenny hostage at knife point. He forces her to get the computer's core and hand it over to him. Then he stabs her anyway. Oh god. Damian and his men leave as Bond rushes to Moneypenny's side. He's joined by Q and sends Bond after Damian. Before he does, Q tells him to pick up the Valhalla, a souped-up Aston Martin with a huge amount of firepower. Bond makes it to the car just in time. Damian prepares to bust a hole through the lockdown, so Bond hops into the car and tells the polite supercomputer to get the guns ready.
Flamethrower not applicable.
Damn it. What about missiles?
Missiles. Full stop.
The car doesn't have a working flamethrower, and the missiles will take too long to arm, but it does have a working machine gun. Hey, that'll do in a pinch. The machine gun is not enough to take out Damian. The decked out and juiced up man shoots down a circular part of Q-Lab's ceiling, trapping Bond inside the car.
Door's stuck.
I'll raise a ticket with tech support.
You're not helping.
Damian gloats a bit, and he walks away. But Bond manages to escape from the car.
Nothing a fresh coat of paint won't fix.
He catches up to Damian, who's making the world's slowest escape from MI6. Bullets do nothing against the guy's tech suit, so Bond is forced to get more creative.
How's money? What?
He used the environment to chip away at Damian's health. As they fight, they fall down into the reservoir area beneath them. Bond realizes something horrific. Damian has rigged bombs to explode under the building. The explosion will flood the tunnels, killing everybody who's still inside.
There's enough water in this reservoir to turn MI6 underground into a fish tank.
Bond hacks some security sentry turrets to attack Damian. Finally, after taking way too many turrets shot to the chest, Damian falls. His suit malfunctions, locking him in place. Damian pulls off his mask, revealing a messed up eye and his long hair shaved down to a buzz cut. He threatens to activate the bombs, but it's a bluff.
No need. Kill yourself just to get to me. You don't have it in you.
Damian can't get himself to push the button, knowing that it would kill him too. Bond prepares to put a bullet through the bad guy when Damian's suit messes up again and causes an explosion that brings some debris down on top of Bond. The fight again on top of a platform high above the reservoir waters. Damian grabs Bond from behind and reminds him of all the people he's failed to save. He tells Bond he's going to die alone, but Bond corrects him. He's not planning to die alone. He kicks off from the platform, setting them both falling to the water far below. Underwater, Damian's suit causes him to sink like a rock. Bond tries to get free, but he's trapped in Damian's clutches, so the two sink together. Above them, someone dives into the water. It's Isola. She reaches the two, but instead of freeing Bond, she grabs Thea's core from Damian. She surfaces and is about to walk away, but she can't just leave Bond. Oh, she cares. She dives back down, frees him from Damian's deadly embrace, and drags him back to the surface.
Don't get used to it.
The scene then cuts to the aftermath. Bond stands before the grave of his mentor and trainer, John Greenway. M joins Bond and lets him know that all charges against him have been dropped, thanks to Bright. M pulled a few strings to make sure Bright's involvement with Webb doesn't make it to the public. In return, Bright looks the other way about Bond and doubles the MI6's budget. Kind of a sweet deal. M then congratulates Bond on becoming an official agent with the MI6. She offers him the title of 001, but Bond has a better idea.
Actually, Mom, I thought since I was the 7th recruit.
He was the 7th recruit. 007 it is. Bond and M realize that it is not over yet. Whoever Isola works for now has both Hyperion and Thea.
Perhaps you'd be so kind as to do some digging. 007.
The iconic James Bond music plays as the young Bond looks straight into the camera. Have no doubt, this isn't the last you've seen of this charming young spy. Okay, that's it for our recap of 007 First Light. It has been an exciting ride, but it is time to ride off into the sunset, folks, with explosions going off behind me and me not flinching at all. Don't forget to check out another one of our videos. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. See ya.